Welcome back to Reffing with the Sappers. We've got a very special episode for this one. This is a NPL College Showcase game that was held in Davis, California between Hawaii and West Coast Soccer Club. Hawaii obviously wins the award for traveling the furthest, and it was held on May 20th at 5:40 p.m. We've got some very special guests for this one. The two assignors who Aaron and Katie and I actually do the most work for. We've got Carlos Ledesma and Kris Zanardelli. Very excited to have them here to help me analyze the video and tell me all the things I need to do better. Kris, maybe if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, Christopher Zanardelli. I'm the assigner currently for Loomis Soccer Club here in Loomis, California. I've been refereeing since about 2014. I've got scores of games under my belts at the youth level, the high school level, the collegiate level, the college club level, as well as adult amateur.
Good, yeah. My name is Carlos Ledesma. I'm a signer for Roseville Youth Soccer Club, and I've been refereeing, I think, since 2016, just a couple of years after. We've done, yes, grassroots, youth level, high school, and that's about as high as I'm going.
Getting started, unfortunately, because of the way the camera was set up, we ended up losing the first 3 minutes of the match, but we'll get into our first decision that happened in the recording. Our first decision of the match is pretty straightforward. It's a push in the back. Let's watch it. Right there, happens right in front of me. You see her kind of give her the arm just as she's going by. Really easy call, no issues. This was a potential handball. It was a no call on the pitch. So here the ball drops down and it just hits or gets really close to her hand there. And I wasn't sure, did it hit her body and up to the arm, or did it just hit her body and drop down? I've got some of an angle on there. In a perfect world, I would have been moving down here to this area and maybe see that a little more square on. You also kind of watch the body language of the other players. Nobody's screaming for a handball. It was very light if there was one.
I'm okay with a maybe. The fact that the player swung the arm out of the way is usually an indication that, hey, I just touched it, as opposed to, hey, I'm getting my arm out of the way.
We'll score that one as a maybe. We missed that one. Our next moment we're going to review isn't actually a decision point. Kris has got some really good feedback for me on my positioning because I get pretty close to getting hit by the ball here. Let's watch it, and then Kris, you can comment on it. So there she's coming. I got to get out of the way. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. All right. What do you see there,
So
Kris?
forward just a little bit. You turn your back to play. You're not even looking at the ball. I understand that player is not in any grave danger. However, if somebody sticks a foot out and that player ends up on the ground, you're going to be wondering what happened. A better tactic here is that ball's coming at you. You know that there's nobody to your right now as you stand.
Yep.
So as the ball's coming at you, make a left-handed circle back pedal. So you would keep backing up and you'd end up about with your feet square on the midfield stripe, and then you'd be pointed towards goal where black is definitely going.
Our next point is a no call on the field. So she gets it, and then right there, green gives her just a little bump. Doesn't throw her off the ball, and really nobody complains. But there is enough there that you kind of have to evaluate what is the temperature of the match, what's kind of going on. And that's the kind of thing, if you have the sense in a game that it could get out of hand, maybe you want to, that's one you can use to start tamping down. This one, I didn't have that sense in this game, so I let it play.
And depending upon temperature of the match and time into the match, you can go either way here.
For our next point, this was a no call on the field. So here, green kicks it, and then black comes in and kind of throws her hip into her. Let's watch it again, and I'll try to stop it at the moment of the decision right there. At that moment in time on the field, I was thinking that black kind of had an established position, but I guess, what do you guys see?
The green player played it away with her right foot towards her teammate there, and black steps through, not playing the ball because clearly it's now a couple of yards away. So we can charge when the ball's within playing distance, and at the U16 level, 2 yards going away isn't playing distance.
So I think that's a missed call. Our next point was a call on the field. It was a foul for a trip just outside of the box. So right there, black's coming in, green comes in, trips her, she goes down. Easy call. You see, I call it right away, and I immediately go to the spot.
Got a little bit of feedback here on the restart. Go ahead and play it as this player brings the ball in. You tell her where it goes, sets the ball. And while you didn't mark off that ball, this would be a time to consider a ceremonial restart, simply so that everybody knows that we're playing soccer again. as you saw, the players in the wall started jumping a little bit after that ball was set. So they weren't ready when that ball was set. Black takes it and puts it in the back of the net. Then somebody's asking, but we weren't ready.
And even some of her own players, their back is too.
Oh yeah,
They're not ready either.
the players between the wall and that next green defender.
Mm-hmm.
Our next decision point is a no call in the field. It was close to a push in the back, but I let it play and gave the team a corner. Right there, Black's trying to get around the corner. Green kind of gets position on her right there, and then Black gives her a little bit extra, though her momentum carried her forward, and we were able to give her the corner. This is another one where you could really go either way, I think. It's okay to call that, okay to give it to not call it, and it kind of depends on the temperature of the match and if you're trying to get
Absolutely. Green had already played that ball towards the out of bounds area. And so the shove in the back didn't change how she was playing it. If that contact happens before she plays it, then maybe we've got a different decision.
Our next decision called a trip on the field. So Black's attacking there, tries to go by, and Green just clips her ankle. Easy call.
Referee education point here. Scott, where's the ball going?
So she's taking the free kick from here from the last foul, and really the ball is going to end up landing in this Mesa player. She's trying to get it down there for her attacker.
Is she in danger of being fouled where she's at?
Nope.
Where could your eyes be?
I should be looking where it's going, and I should probably be another 5 or 10 yards closer to that area of the field.
Perfect.
So our next decision happens almost immediately after that free kick, and it is a foul on the field for a pull. Let's watch it. Right about here, Black is pulling on her arm as she kind of goes around her. So for me, very straightforward, pretty easy call. The next decision is a foul on the field for a push in the back. So there, Green is kind of getting the ball, and Black just really kind of pushes her right there. She kind of pulls up on the end, but the momentum carries her. I actually considered a yellow card here, but the temperature of the game wasn't high at this point, and so I felt like it was reasonable. I given them the call, and nobody was getting out of hand. So the next moment we're going to review isn't even a decision point, but Kris had some feedback for me on my transition and positioning in the field. So Kris, tell us what you see in this one.
Right here, we've got Black about to gain possession and near the midfield, and they've been hammering the goal all day. And so Scott was still at midfield when the ball was played through. We know that that ball is headed towards goal, and so a better place for as soon as that ball is received by Black. I noticed she's about to send it long here because that's how players stride when they're about to send the ball. By this time, I would hope to be out of the center circle, headed towards the Black attacking goal, just so that I can have a more credible position on whatever happens down there. And as we see at the end of this, there could have been a collision with the Black attacker and the goalkeeper. And making it from 40 yards away would be rough. Making it from 20 at the 20-yard line, no problem.
This one's another referee education moment. It's not actually a foul decision, but it has to do with the AR's positioning. So, Kris, you had some comments here?
Yep. So as this is played, the ball comes in, it's in play, and then ends up out of play. And the assistant referee watched the ball hit the ground and then took 2 steps to the right and signaled. We know that as assistant referees, we need to be at the location of the restart or behind because we are always closer to the goal than the ball. And if the restart is happening to our right, we need to be further to our right.
Our next one here is also not a decision point and another feedback on positioning of the referee. And so let's watch this here. The ball starts out in the defending third and it gets flipped on us real quick. So Kris, you had some feedback here?
It gets flipped, played to the Black player, middle of nowhere. They're headed towards goal. And
kind of right here, I should be
parallel with the player.
At least, if not. I'm only just now starting to sprint.
And so, parallel with the player and either accelerating or maintaining your top speed because you know it's going to be a long way down there.
Yeah.
And it ended up 70 yards from where it came out.
And then right about now, I'm going.
Yeah. So we've all had those moments.
And then, thank God, throw.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yep, exactly. Our next decision point was a no call on the pitch. Black has the ball here and she's kind of dribbling and she steps over and then she kind of trips down. But honestly, like when you watch this again, she gets around, she's got her feet there and she just stumbles. She just missteps. Don't have the perfect angle on the separation there, but I did see that she didn't touch her at all. It's a good no call. Our next decision point was a foul for a charge on the pitch and a yellow card decision immediately after. Green is running, coming around, and boom, yellow Black just trucks through her. Let's watch it right there, whack. And she goes down hard. She hits her head on the turf. We actually ended up, she had to substitute out and check in with the trainer. You see me come over. I single out the person who did it, give her the yellow card, get that done.
And I like how a few steps into your call, you have your yellow card in your hand.
Yeah, it's almost like somebody taught me at some point to keep my yellow card in my pocket instead of over here. Yes.
All right.
Yeah. Our next decision was a foul on the field. So Black's kind of coming around. Green steals it from her, and Black gets frustrated, kind of gives her a little extra arm there. Hard to see here from this angle in the video, but it was pretty straightforward on the field. Easy call. Our next decision point was called a foul for a trip on the field. There, Black's kind of coming. Oh, she just gets her ankle right behind her. It's a pretty easy call. And my AR even helps me out a little bit here, but you guys had some feedback on his position. What do you guys have?
As you can see, the assistant referee at the time the foul was called had the flag in the left hand, moved it to his right hand, raised it, waggled it, and then
all good.
And then moved it over his head to his left hand.
That's
it.
So what should they be doing in that case?
Bring the flag down, switch it to your left hand, and then point direction.
So don't switch it in your hands over your head. Bring it down and around over here.
We all do it once or twice a year, even myself. 100% call myself out right now. A couple of times a year, and every time I do it, it's like, ah!
Our next decision was an offside call. Let's watch it, and I'll pause it right at the moment of decision. Right here is where she kicks it. And you can kind of see this player. She's not very far offside, and we are not on the line from this camera angle. But just looking at like kind of where their shadows fall and where they are, it does look like she's maybe a half a step or a full step behind this last defender here. So the ball goes through. She plays it.
I'm fine. The AR wasn't in the right spot as well.
You can tell. AR looking.
You can tell. The AR was looking intently too.
Our next decision point was a foul on the pitch. It was a push in the back. Let's watch it and see what happens. Right there, Blake's just trying to play it. Green kind of goes through her, gets her some extra. We call it straight away. Easy call. Our next decision was an offside call on the pitch. Green's attacking here. She's kind of moving and she passes it right there. Right there is where she kicks it. So Green is kind of coming back. She's kind of right on that line. And you kind of look, and there's a couple of defenders over here. So Green has been coming back towards it. But this is where it's really important for that assistant referee to be right on the line and see down, because this is a matter of, millimeters, right? And these defenders on this far side of the field are relevant to the discussion, because it doesn't matter necessarily the defenders around her. It also matters what's happening on this side of the field. So certainly from this angle, we don't have anything to overturn this call on. We call it good or bad on the video. We cannot. That's why you need to be on the line. But from here, it also just highlights the importance of the assistant referee being exactly on that line for those absolutes. Our next decision called a foul on the field for a pull. Green's trying to get it here, but Black kind of gets position, and right there, Green just grabs her and pulls her arm. I had noticed some pulling in this game, so I was on the lookout for it, and I wanted to nip it in the bud, and this was one of those. It's light, and they try to hide that from you when you're on the pitch. They try to give that little, but I wanted that to stop in this match because I'd seen it a few other times. And our next decision was a no call on the pitch just outside the box. Let's watch it here. So right about here, this green player that you can see and the black player that's behind her, they're kind of armsing a little bit together here. They're getting in here, but they're both kind of doing it 50-50. I've got a good angle on that. I can actually see what's happening between them. They both kind of fall down there. I think that's a reasonable no call. Our next moment isn't actually a decision point at all. It's kind of a tip and trick when you're reffing at a tournament where there's another field immediately next to it. I'm going to play the audio here and let's listen to it and then we'll talk about it. So you kind of hear in that audio, you hear the whistle from the field actually behind the camera here. And kind of for this whole game that had been happening, and I had been out there, that's not me you hear on the audio, but I had been telling them at other points, not our whistle, play on. Here you hear the coach tell them exactly the same thing. It is something that happens at these tournaments.
Yep, and that's the key here, is to try to have dissimilar pitch in your whistle to the nearby fields so that you don't have that confusion. I've several times at tournaments, not our whistle, where I for sure know that I didn't have the same pitch as the field next door. It happens. We want to try to minimize this as much as possible.
Our next decision was a no call on the pitch. So here, Green's trying to get it there. Black's coming in. Black kind of battles her. There's some handsiness between both of them as they're both trying to get in position. At a U11 match, that's probably a foul, but at U16, I'm okay with that being a no call.
Yep.
Our next decision was a call on the field for a trip. Black and Green are sprinting. Green's just super fast, catches her, gets her on the ankle. She goes down. Nothing nefarious there. No reason for a card. Our next punt was a no call on the pitch. So here, Green's coming in, and she comes and it's almost like she thought that Black was going to be there, and so was looking for the bump and just kind of fell, right? Black never really touched her, and we didn't even hear anything from anything on the sideline. So it's a no call on the pitch. We're looking at this Green player right here. So she comes in, she kind of like runs up on that Black player, and the Black player is kind of positioning herself. And then afterwards, you see her, she kind of goes down. She's actually holding her nose. And afterwards, she said that she got elbowed in the nose. I will say, from where I was, I did not see an elbow, but like even here on the video, it looks like they're kind of moving around here, but nothing that looks like illegal contact to me. It is hard to see from this angle, but
No, I didn't see anything in the video. I watched it several dozen times.
this next one isn't a decision point, but it is a learning moment for some mechanics of the referee. So let's watch it here. So Carlos, what do you see there from the assistant referee?
Well, it's obviously a throw-in, but his first mechanics was to signal for a substitution. Better to do the direction first and then the substitution.
And if we jump forward to where we do a restart, he's up there managing the subs. And right about here, I blow my whistle to allow them to kind of, right there. I blow the whistle, telling them it's okay to start.
The assistant referee is woefully out of position because we got defensive players off the top of the screen, top right corner of the screen there. You can see their shadows. He's going to need to be at least there, potentially behind, to make an offside decision. And he's 15 yards out of position right now.
I need to be more conscious of giving him the time to get back there, get him in position. Otherwise, we could definitely miss something. Luckily, it didn't burn us afterwards, but it could have. Our next decision was a no call on the pitch for kind of a 50-50 challenge. Let's watch it here. So right here, Green's coming in, and then Black and Green just really come in together. From my angle, I saw it as a very 50-50 challenge. They were shoulder to shoulder, kind of gave each other equal amounts of impact. Green's a little bit smaller, so she gets thrown off. But at a U16 NPL match, I mean, that's perfectly fine contact in my mind. So a no call.
I would see that at a U11, U12 game maybe as a foul on Black. Because at this level, yeah, you let them play. It did look, I saw what you saw, 50-50 car challenge, but at lower levels, probably foul.
And it's hard sometimes because some of our newest refs are actually players at this level, and they think, oh, you know, it's a no call. I wouldn't want that called in my match. And then they go and they do a recreational U11 game where you probably do want to call that because people just, they're not as skilled and they're not as at the same level. So our next decision happens almost immediately after that no call. And it is a foul for pushing the back committed by the same player who was in the Green player who was involved in that play. So she kind of comes in, Black gets to it first. This one is not shoulder to shoulder. She is behind the Black player, giving her some push, trying to gain an unfair advantage by pushing her off. I call that signal direction.
Yeah. And she wasn't even playing the ball.
Yeah. Easy call. Our next decision here was a foul for a dangerous play on the pitch. Let's watch it here right there. Green brings her foot up right in front of the Black player's face. It nearly grazes her face on the way by. You can see Black's even like, oh my goodness, right? So it's an easy call, dangerous play for a high kick, and we call it, bring it back. It'll be an indirect free kick for the restart. Our next decision was a no call on the pitch. It happened immediately after the dangerous play call, and it's an indirect free kick that she takes here. Ball comes in, they're kind of battling, and right there, you see the Black player kind of stumble forward a little bit. Those two players seem to be just really battling for position. Black is kind of throwing herself in order to, put a barrier between the Green player she is attacking. I didn't feel like there was any necessarily push for advantage there, and so I just let it play. Our next decision here was a call on the field for impeding. The ball's coming around. You see Black not really trying to play the ball. She's got her arm out and she's trying to like just keep green from getting around her. So I called that as an impeding foul on the pitch. But what do you guys see?
We've got contact between players, so you could take a push or a hold, whichever you prefer, because impeding is an indirect free kick restart. And indirect free kick restarts do not involve any contact between players. And clearly, we've got contact between the players, so it does need to be a direct free kick restart.
If you look here, I did place the ball where that contact started, but I do have my arm up for an indirect free kick. It is kind of from the middle of the field, so it's a little less critical. But if this was down in the attacking third, the difference between a direct free kick and an indirect free kick can be important for the game. So I think we got the fact that there was a foul there correct, but the fact that I called the wrong type of foul and the wrong restart here, I think we should deduct a half a point for that.
Go with that.
For our next decision, there was a call for a trip, but it's kind of two calls in rapid succession with a decision on advantage or no advantage. So we're going to spend a little moment talking about it. So they're battling for position, and right there, green gets held by black. So she kind of stumbles down a little bit. And at this moment, I'm running in, and I'm actually starting to put the whistle to my mouth. But I also have noticed in this game that that player's got a lot of speed. And if she touches this ball, I see her regain her footing. And if she touches that ball in a good way past this defender, she's gone to goal. So at this point, I'm actually waiting just the couple of heartbeats to see what happens next because I don't want to call this back if she gets the breakaway. And unfortunately for me, when she comes in, she actually mistouches the ball and she kicks the black player. So that actually would be a foul in black's favor. So now I've kind of got a game management situation. I've got my first call and then I've got the second call. So what I end up deciding on the pitch is I'm going to call it back to the very first foul. So the first foul happened. I was waiting the heartbeat to see if I wanted to allow advantage. I had not yet signaled for advantage, and I end up calling it back to there. Now, ultimately, the black team was wondering, why aren't we getting the ball here? Because they see the second foul. Green team only sees the first foul, right? That happens a lot. In fact, here, the coach is like, why aren't we getting the ball? I'm having to explain to her that I'm calling it back to the first foul. Our next decision was a foul for a push in the box here that ended up going in the defense's favor. And then we're going to listen to some audio. So right there, green just comes in. She's trying to battle to the ball, but she's trying to go through the black player, pushes her off of it. And I end up blowing my whistle, signaling this direction. If we play the audio on this one, so you kind of hear the coach there say, hey, is she going to be called for every foul? Come on, ref. And I'm kind of out there thinking, yeah, for every one that I see her do.
Gotcha.
She seems to be involved in all, not all, but many of the fouls as either the receiver and the giver of the fouls.
And Scott, super unpopular foul call needs to be made, and you had the fortitude to make that call. Well done.
Our next decision was a no call on the pitch. It was a potential trip in the box, which would have been a PK. Let's watch it in real time here. So there, black comes in. You see black kind of fall like she was tripped. If I back this up and I pause it right here, what I actually saw on the pitch is I saw the two players trying to get it. Black's coming in trying to attack, green's coming in trying to defend, and I saw the black player throw herself out in order to try to get that kick in. And when a player throws themselves into a kick, a lot of times they fall kind of naturally. Now she does kind of fall at a weird angle here. Let me just play this in kind of hyper slow motion here. She goes in and she does kind of fall down, but I honestly did not see anything that elevated to foul contact, and certainly not enough for a PK. I do actually stop the play here and I run over and I talk to my AR because my AR signaled to me that he had additional information. So I actually do stop the play, not for a foul call, only for a referee conference, basically. I go over and I talk to that AR. We confer. We talk about what we both saw. Ultimately, there just wasn't enough to call there, and we left it as a no-call decision and played on. Our next decision was a no call on the field. It's a potential handball by this black player. Let's watch it. Ball kind of comes up, it goes in the air, and then it comes down right on that player's shoulder or possibly her arms out just a little bit. So I made that a no call on the pitch, but let's see if we can pause it. So in super slow motion, you see the ball come up here, it's coming down, and like right there, it's really like I thought it hit the top part of her shoulder, maybe even here, which is still above the armpit. Where do you have it, Kris?
I've got it
You
here.
got it there?
Like, here's my armpit.
Yeah.
There's the bottom of my armpit. I had it here.
Well, by the time the ball is at that level, it's already off. So that's why I'm thinking it hits there.
I had the shoulder.
Well, okay, if it hits her shoulder, then why is it going off at a downsloping angle?
She's turning. She's turning.
Oh god, okay, guys, we're gonna agree to
So we can't agree on this one. So we're gonna call this one a maybe we got it wrong decision. So we'll deduct a half a point for that. Our next decision here actually has to do with direction on a throw-in. And now normally for this channel we don't review throw-in directions unless they're particularly noteworthy. So we won't actually score this one, but it's worth discussion as a teaching moment. So here in this one, Green's playing it. She's kind of dribbling, gets in between her and the black player. Black kind of kicks it there. And then as it's coming around, Green's foot gets it right there and kicks it out. Now, from my angle on the pitch, I'm standing just off the edge here. I've got kind of two black players in my way. And particularly when that kick happened, I couldn't see was it Green or was it Black who was playing. I looked at my AR, and because this black player was in his line of sight, we just frankly couldn't see. Now, at that point, I thought maybe I saw Black kick it out. I have to pick a direction. At that point, it's kind of which way, right? It happens, right? Now, what I really should do here is if you watch the body language, I'm so worried about trying to make a decision, I don't watch the player body language. So here, Black picks it up. She's ready to throw it in, and Green's not even trying, right? So I end up giving it away. You see Black gets frustrated, throws it down. That says we probably got the direction wrong. Again, we don't score those for this channel. Generally, it's definitely a lesson learned to maybe wait that extra couple of seconds, let the player's body language kind of give you an idea of what actually happened.
Absolutely.
Our next decision is a no call on the pitch. It potentially is a pass back to the keeper, but we made it a no call, and let's watch it here. There, shot goes in, Black comes in, touches it with her foot. And, some spectators may look at that and say, hey, that's a pass back because it goes straight to the keeper. In my mind, no way that that's a pass back. The shot was going in. Defenders all the time try to reach out and deflect a ball. She might be trying to kick that out and just barely get it with her toe. Certainly not an intentional pass with her foot back to the keeper.
Absolutely. The word in the laws of the game is deliberate pass back. There is no way that's deliberate. That defender is simply trying to clear the ball, and the goalkeeper happened to pick it up.
So in our next decision, this was a call on the pitch for a charge and was a yellow card. So there the ball's going out. Black's just trying to play the ball, and Green just trucks right through her back. Doesn't even try to play the ball. She just boom right there through. That's almost she had been kind of the enforcer the whole game. But you see me running, you can see my hand in the pocket again, and I go and issue the card to her. Our next decision here is a no call on the pitch. So the ball's kind of coming through here. Black's battling for it, and they kind of come in shoulder to shoulder, but I didn't see any push there. If I back this up and see it here, right there, that Black and Green player right here where my cursor is, they're going for it, but I don't see any kind of push there. In fact, Black player kind of runs into the player who kicks it. This kick goes long, and then this winger gets the ball and has a really good play to come down and get a shot on goal, and they end up with a corner kick. So it was interesting. I applied advantage there. After all this happens, they're still yelling at me. They want the call, and it's clearly in Green's advantage to have the ball down here. So I actually see me look there and turn around and look back at the center circle, and I'm kind of putting my hands up. That's because the Green player back in the center circle is still asking for the foul. And I say, look, do you really want the ball way back there? You've got it up here. Like, what's the problem? No, we're going to play on. So our next moment we're going to review here isn't a decision point, but it's kind of a best practice here after a goal is scored. So immediately following that last call from this corner kick, Green actually does score a goal. So the ball kind of bounces around. Ultimately, the ball ends up going in. But then you watch this Green player. She runs. They're behind by a goal. They're trying to come back. She tries to get the ball. She's trying to speed up the restart. This can be a critical point in the game because sometimes when they do that, particularly in a tight game with older players, if there's any chippiness in a game like this, that can end up leading to some conflict. I think you guys have seen that, right? So really, it probably would have been better if I had blown my whistle and either tried to go get the ball myself or at least told him, drop the ball, give it to Black. and let that
You did well here. There's nothing going on, and you've got your eyes squarely on the person with the ball. So if I imagine there was a black player headed to go try and get that ball, you'd be inserting yourself
very quick.
in instructing on leave it alone, drop it, and give it to me.
Our next decision here was called a foul on the pitch for a pull, and I gave a yellow card. So let's watch it. And here, Black's attacking, they're battling. Black kind of falls down, no foul there, and then they start battling, and then Green just grabs her and yanks her. So, I call that. You can see me again. I'm walking over, I'm pulling the card out of my pocket, and I'm going. The camera scrolls off. Our next decision is a foul on the pitch with a trip. It's pretty straightforward. Let's watch it. So there, Green's attacking, but Black gets it and just clips her ankle, similar to an earlier call we had. Very easy. Call it, signal direction.
No problem.
Our next decision is an offside call. It's a very important one for this match because we're in a 1-point game at this point, and this actually takes a goal off of the scoreboard. So there is a direct free kick happening off on the left-hand side. I've had to switch to the panoramic mode here, so the angle looks a little bit different, but there's a kick coming in from way back here. But when the ball flies in, you actually see this player right here. She jumps up and she gets the ball in the air. So the decision point is actually right at this moment because she makes an active play on the ball. And if you watch here, and I realize we're not right on the line, but when she makes this active play, this other player, this other attacker to the right, is closer to the goalkeeper than she is. So she is in an offside position. And then if we play it, the ball comes over, it hits the upright of the goal, and then this player who had been in an offside position comes in, cleans up the rebound, kicks it right in. They're celebrating, everybody's happy, but you see me signal for the offside because my AR saw it very clearly, and we wave the goal off. Our next decision is a no call for a run in between the attacker and a keeper. Black player kicks the ball away. You can actually see it flying off here. Goalie's coming in trying to block it and really kind of, pulling herself back, trying not to initiate contact. They do run into each other. It looks bad from the sidelines, but really, I don't think there's any foul there at all. Our next decision here was a foul on the field for charging, and it was a yellow card. So Green's kind of getting the ball there, and Black just goes right through her. Doesn't even pretend to try to play the ball. So, see, again, I come in, this game, obviously the temperature has gone up as the game has progressed. Tried to stay on top of it, but, they're clearly battling. So, but I think that's a good call and a good card.
Can I say something about this restart?
Yeah.
We've got about 3 minutes left in the match, and Green is down by a goal. They're definitely sending this into the penalty area. And so, Scott, I'd like to see your position somewhere between where the wall is and that next Green player.
So kind of over here.
Kind of there-ish.
Yeah.
So that you've got a view on the penalty area and you can see the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, she's going to send it long. I mean, ultimately, it does hit the wall there, but you're right. If I am slowly moving that direction, but if it doesn't hit the wall there, it's going straight into that, and it could be closer to that. In our final decision of this match, it's actually a very interesting ending to this game. So, again, this was a 1-goal game. The Green team is trying to come back, and I have actually added a couple of minutes into this match, and we are in the final seconds. Now, Black here is attacking, and they're actually kind of feeling like this game's close to over. And this ball comes through, and then this Green player comes in and makes just an amazing slide tackle. Very nice slide tackle.
Oh, yeah.
And she pops up as quick as she can, and she sends that ball. So right there, you've seen it's flown maybe 4 yards, but she kicks this ball about as perfect as you can possibly do. It was very impressive. Mm-hmm. And then you see me, so I'm trying to turn, but when we look here, where are the attackers? So there's 2 attackers here, Green here, Green here. They are both in an onside position because the second to last defender is back here. My AR is on a good line to see that. This ball flies up, though, and it's kind of about here. The ball's kind of halfway in the air. This player realizes, hey, that's going to be a good ball. I can go get that. I'm turning and trying to run. And you see, she sprints. These 2 defenders don't really follow her as quick as they can. She runs super fast. By the time everybody's looking, they look and see her 5 yards past. That's just great play by her. She was totally onside. She runs down. She scores this goal, dribbles past, goal. So that whole string of events ends up tying this game as like time is expiring. Now you watch me, I'm out there, I'm running, I'm trying to catch up. By the time I turned, I didn't really have a good opinion one way or the other if she was onside or not. Obviously, with the benefit of video, she was very onside. But I'm hearing from the sideline, offside, offside. How can you possibly let that? That's offside. So I run over and I talk to my AR. He's already running. He's running to the center. He's telling me it's onside. He actually comes out almost asking, "Why are you even coming and talking to me?" She was so onside. But
he's also giving you the signal.
Yeah,
it's on.
Yeah. So I basically say, hey, I'm kind of doing this for show. I trust your decision, but I need to show that we talked about it. And then I go and award the goal. So as soon as they do this kickoff, I blow it dead. And then following the match, you see this black player here. She's trying to convince me how that player was offside. Again, we see it in the video. She was onside by at least 5, maybe more yards. But then this coach for the black team, she comes out to talk with me a little bit. And she basically comes out and says that, hey, that was a really unevenly called game. And I was like, ma'am, what do you mean unevenly? Can you give me an example? And you see there, she kind of points to both directions and she says, well, down there, you took away our goal because of offside. And over here, you allowed them to have a goal onside. And I'm just like, well, ma'am, like, I'm not on those lines to make that call. I have to trust in my AR. You're not on the lines. You can't make it either. On that end, they told me it was offside.
Yep.
On this end, they told me it was onside.
It's a game of angles.
It's a game of angles, and that's it. So
ultimately, through the benefit of video, both calls were correct.
Both calls were correct. So, unfortunate for her. I know it's an emotional game. They came a very long way from Hawaii for it, but it is what it is. So. But this game has been a really exciting game. It's been a good one. Let's see how we did. So with 44 decisions and 2.5 deductions, that gives us a 94.3%. So this was a good game, and it was even on the high end of a good game. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. And you guys are that one.
Absolutely.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Reffing with the Sappers, and we'll see you out on the pitch.
Absolutely. Thanks, Scott.
There's a little bit more backstory.
Okay, please do.
Okay. There was a corner kick, and I set up exactly like I'm hitting now, and I was looking this way, and the ball very nearly hit me in the head.
So that's amazing. Well, I mean, he's got the pretty face.
I'm here for candy. I'm the eye candy.
Wait, he promised you candy?
I'm the eye candy.
Oh. Put the blooper reel? That would be amazing.
Have you seen the bloopers at the end of the two that we published? Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think you.
Oh God, the over the head mechanic.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, dude. Some of my soul left my body. This was a sick goal. There's no 16-year-old saving that ever.
Right there.
There's no. The answer's no.
I know he's not going to be there anyway for West Midfield.
Stop being there anyway. That's amazing.
In near, is it unnaturally bigger?
Well, why does her arm flare out if she wasn't making herself bigger?
Is this unnaturally bigger?
Oh, dude. And
hot day.
And at the end of the day, it's 7 p.m. on a hot freaking day.
Yeah.
The fact that you're standing upright is great.
I actually turned and I looked back at her and said, "You still want the call?"
Perfect. Perfect. Do you still want this foul back in?
Yeah.
I mean, I can bring it back 75 yards. I got no problems.
And that is a brilliant snap.
Yeah.
Amazing, man. I was like, if I could fit in one of those like Joe Rogan where they're like, it was an amazing side tackle, right? You see me like I'm running because the ball's going that way. I'm like, oh, shit.
100%.